You're watching UnrealEntGaming. This is Gohan from Dragon Ball Z. You want to see me turn Super Saiyan? Or should I take it to the next level? I'm also the narrator, too. Next time on Dragon Ball Z, make sure and smash subscribe to UnrealEntGaming.
With Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 56 now officially in the history books, Moro and his gang of criminal prisoners have now finally arrived on Earth, with our heroes waiting for them with anticipation. The battle for the survival of the planet and everyone on it begins. As Moro sends his goons all over the planet to take over, our heroes scramble to take control of the situation, while Vegeta and Goku are finishing their training and are desperately trying to figure out a way how to get back on Earth in time. As once more, before we begin, if you are new to this channel and have a love and passion for all things Dragon Ball and anime related, then be sure to go on ahead and smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon to never miss a single upload on this channel, as well as giving this video a big thumbs up by slapping that like button down below if you guys simply love the Dragon Ball Super manga and cannot wait for the next installment, as well as checking out the official Dragon Ball Super manga playlist located down in the description box below, to where on there you guys would be able to find all the latest and best from the Dragon Ball Super manga, ranging from the current issues all the way back from the very beginning. So be sure to go on ahead and check out that playlist located down in the description box below. As we kick off Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 56 with none other than Jocko having to be shown flying through space, and with Jocko knowing that Moro is planning on coming to Earth and bringing all of his other criminal friends with him, what Jocko ended up doing as a counter method to help our heroes is he actually came to Earth with the remaining members of the Galactic Police in sending in an entire brigade of Galactic Patrol members to assist our heroes in this battle, in knowing the fact that our heroes are basically low in numbers. So to further provide aid in helping them, what Jocko ended up doing was enlisting the entire Galactic Patrol to help. And I think that when looking at this situation from an overall objective standpoint, Jocko ended up doing the right thing. So when everyone ends up touching down on Earth, what I find most interesting is the fact that once Jocko and all of his other police buddies step outside, they're greeted by the Z fighters that consist of Master Roshi, Krillin, Piccolo, Gohan, Tien, Chaozu, and even Yamcha, which kind of gives off the Resurrection of F vibes in the fact that this is what Resurrection of F should have been from the get-go, in the idea that it wasn't only Piccolo and Gohan that have been training this entire time to better be prepared in this situation with Moro having to come to Earth, but also seeing everyone come together with Goku and Vegeta having to be missing really goes to show the fundamental establishments in this manga in giving other characters the limelight, even if it is for a small amount of time. And with everyone waiting in anticipation, Yamcha went along to comment, "It's finally my chance to shine." As Chaozu went along to respond, "It's been so long. I hope I can still fight." As Jocko then went along to comment, "Crud, why do they have to put me in charge of Earth? Of all the rotten luck. Hey, new recruits! Look sharp." And with Yamcha overhearing this, he went along to respond, "New recruits? We're pretty much the vets of protecting the Earth," because Jocko had never seen Yamcha on the battlefield before, right? So by seeing this, he calls him a new recruit. But when going back to the others, Gohan then went along to comment, "It's finally time," with Piccolo having to respond, "Yeah, won't be long now." As Krillin chimes in, he went along to ask, "Are Goku and Vegeta still not here, Jocko?" As Jocko responds, "I sent Goku a heads up, but we've got no clue where Vegeta is." As Krillin comments, "Huh? That's bad." Jocko then continues, "But given the beef those two have with Moro, I'm sure they'll show up." As we then go back to Kame's lookout, we then get to see how there is a ship that touches down on the lookout, and coming out of the ship itself, we get to see how Hercule is escorting a sleeping Majin Buu out. As Hercule went along to comment, "Boo!" with one of the Galactic Patrol members having to comment, "He's been fast asleep since his last battle." As Hercule comments, "So glad you're okay, pal. Galactic Patrol or not, you'll be answering to me if you try kidnapping Boo again. So Hercule thinks that the Galactic Patrol kidnapped Boo for whatever reason they had, as Dende went along to comment, "What does Moro's spaceship look like?" As the youngest Namekian went along to respond to Dende, a big mothership shaped like a top with lots of little scout ships. And with Popo pointing up, he went along to ask, like that one? And that's when they all noticed Moro's ship finally having to enter the atmosphere, because finally now, to everyone's nightmare, Moro had just arrived on Earth. And with his ship then having to be shown hovering, Eska went along to comment, "Yes, that one!" As Dende comments, he's finally here, and from the ship we get to see how multiple separate spacecraft are then shown exiting the mothership, as all of these other ships seem to be scattering all throughout the area. So Dende and Popo and Eska, they're all left watching and wondering what the heck is going on, as only then we get to see how these ships that are filled with Moro's criminals aren't just touching down in one specific location, but instead they're actually spreading out all throughout the world, in everybody having to go in their own separate direction, which means that rather than attacking the Earth from one specific spot, they're going all over the place, as only then we get to see how some of Moro's men are attacking temples and cities, which are essentially Moro's grunts in wanting to show up to simply steal treasure, as we later get to see how once again we have the Vegeta looking characters touch down, with people having to cry out, "Who is that?" So the people of the world are left wondering what is going on and why are they being invaded, with of course Moro's men having to spread all around. We then go back to the Galactic Patrol as they're all beginning to scramble. Gohan then went along to cry out, "Piccolo, what's going on?" With Roshi crying out, "The baddies are flying off to every corner of the world." With Jocko responding, "Dang it, before the full-scale attack, they are probably planning to rob the Earth of all its treasures." With Piccolo commenting, "Of course." Roshi then chimes in and stating, "Let's handle those far-flung convicts while you boys fight the big boss." And with Gohan and Piccolo overhearing this, Roshi then continues, "Off we go, Krillin." With Krillin agreeing, we get to see how Roshi's idea is for them to go off and fight off the grunts, while Piccolo and Gohan stay behind to fight the main bosses, because with all of the other criminals trying to rob the planet, Roshi is assisting that everyone else chimes in to take care of business, with Gohan and Piccolo then having to stay back, as Gohan goes on to tell Roshi, "Careful out there, you're up against vicious criminals." And as Roshi understands this, we go back to Tien as he goes on to tell Chaozu, "Let's go, Chaozu." As Yamcha also points out, "I'll head this way." So Tien, Chaozu, Yamcha, everyone separates and going in their own direction, as even the Galactic Patrol members go on to cry out, "Split into teams and support Earth's warriors. Back them up." And with every single Galactic Patrol officer having to get in their own individual ship and back up our heroes, the only ones left behind are Jocko, Piccolo, and Gohan. So I really enjoy the level of tension here and the fact that everyone knows what they have to do, and the Galactic Patrol police, they're not cowards, they're actually backing up our heroes. And with everyone splitting off, I love the fact that we get to see how Yamcha's flying off, Krillin's flying off, and the remaining Galactic Patrol members are doing what they can to assist our heroes, and I'm seriously getting huge throwback Dragon Ball Z vibes in the overall pacing and atmosphere of the setting. And with Roshi having to tell Krillin down there, Krillin goes on to comment, "Here we go." As we then observe Yumba, who is in fact beating up a bunch of humans on the ground, Roshi and Krillin chime in, and with Krillin finally manning up, what he ends up doing is attacking Yumba. And Yumba is supposed to be an individual within Moro's rankings that is supposed to be a very formidable opponent, so to see Krillin actually step up and attack him is a pretty cool thing, because then we get to see how Yumba comments, "You again." And with Krillin backing up, he then went along to tell him, "I'm not the same man as before. I've been training hard." And with Yumba and his female criminal counterpart standing there, Yumba went along to comment, "Fine by me. Let's settle this now." And need I say, the first thing Roshi notices is the fact that there are 3 very pretty girls standing behind Yumba, in not knowing the fact that they are deadly criminals, and this is the test that Roshi has to go through now, in the fact that he has to see if he can control himself while pretty girls are on the battlefield. However, as the females step up to Yumba, they went along to comment, "Yumba, we don't give a crap about this duel of yours, so we're gonna go wreck some other place." With Yumba having to ask, "Sure, go ahead then." And with the girls all splitting off, Krillin went along to comment, "Muten Roshi, this guy's way faster than he looks, so let's rush him together." As Roshi comments, "Krillin, you can't go relying for your old master for everything. I'm betting on you to handle this chump alone. And with Krillin surprised, the first thing Roshi ends up doing is pursuing the females as he went along to tell Krillin, meanwhile I'll go wangle those nasty babes, which is typical of Roshi to do, as of course the first thing Yumba ends up doing is smashing Krillin's face directly into a building, with Yumba then having to comment, I ain't waiting around. So this is Krillin's test. This is the test to see if Krillin can actually get the job done alone against one of Moro's strongest goons, and with Krillin shown holding onto his face, he went along to comment, darn you, as he quickly gets back up and fights Yumba alone. However, when going back to Piccolo and Gohan, Gohan went along to comment, there are fights starting all over the planet. Hang in there, guys, with Piccolo having to tell Gohan we've got company too. And the first person they're greeted by is none other than Shimoreka. And with Shimoreka touching down, Piccolo went along to ask, alone this time? With Shimoreka telling Piccolo, you wish. As only then, out of nowhere, 7-3 pops up behind Piccolo and Gohan, grabs the back of their necks, with Piccolo and Gohan having to be absolutely floored that he was able to do this, as Piccolo comments, when did he? Because what 7-3 is doing now is copying all of the techniques, all of the skills, all of the powers that Gohan and Piccolo know of, and he's embedding that within his own database. So this was Shimoreka's plan the entire time, was for 7-3 to sneak up behind them and take all of their abilities and techniques. As Shimoreka then goes on to comment, that move came courtesy of an invisible race. You people are dumb as ever, I see. As Jocko comments, idiot! You dropped your guards again! And with Piccolo and Gohan stepping back, Shimoreka only then continues, any training you might have done, all totally worthless now, since 7-3 copies the way you are right now. And with Jocko commenting, damn it, it only further confirms that even if someone were to get stronger via training, 7-3 can easily copy everything you know of right now in your current state, far after you have progressed and gained that power as well. And with 7-3 having to be shown leaping over Piccolo and Gohan, what he ends up doing is place his fingers over his forehead as Jocko went along to cry out, Piccolo's technique again! As Shimoreka goes on to cry out, your own move's gonna send you to hell. As 7-3 proceeds to fire the special beam cannon directly at Piccolo and Gohan, they then brace themselves because they know after Piccolo's training that not only had he increased in power, but also the power of his moves as well. As only then, once we get to see 7-3 fire the special beam cannon at Piccolo and Gohan, what ends up happening as a result is Gohan gets in front of Piccolo and he ends up creating this massive barrier slash shield to protect them from this blast. And this is something that I don't think we've seen Gohan do before in the anime or in the manga, so this is quite different, and this is actually holding back 7-3's special beam cannon, because right behind Gohan, as Gohan is shielding Piccolo from the attack, we get to see how Piccolo is charging up for his own special beam cannon while Gohan is guarding him. They seem to work a lot better here in terms of consistency than how we've seen during the Tournament of Power, because as Gohan is holding back this massive attack, what Gohan ends up doing is rotating his hands, as of course the special beam cannon is held in place, and with Piccolo then not wasting any time, what he ends up doing is Piccolo ends up firing directly back at 7-3 with his own special beam cannon, to where we get to see how Piccolo's special beam cannon seems to be overpowering 7-3's, which is also a result of Gohan having to aid Piccolo in having his attack be that much more effective. And I love this overall narrative that we get to see them work together in even combining attacks to make sure that this guy doesn't have a chance of winning, and that's exactly what ends up happening, because Piccolo's special beam cannon begins to overtake 7-3, with 7-3 having to then be surprised in noticing that he's being pushed back. Piccolo's special beam cannon completely overpowers 7-3's and goes right through Gohan's barrier, with Shimoreka having to look on. I absolutely love one of the shots that we get to see at the very bottom, with Piccolo's special beam cannon having to be literally shown flying out into the sky, as of course this becomes very visible to everyone else on the battlefield, because with Krillin and Roshi and Tien noticing this special beam cannon in fact was so noticeable that everyone else around the surrounding area can see how large this special beam cannon was, because of the amount of energy that Piccolo had put into this blast to make sure that he got the better of 7-3. As only then Chaozu comments, look Tien, with Tien commenting, that's Piccolo's. the fighting must have started back there too. And with 7-3 shown literally having his left arm blown away, Piccolo smiles as he went along to comment, even with infinite stamina, it's not like he can recover immediately. As Shimareka comments, but how? How is this happening? But of course, 7-3 isn't fatally wounded because he ends up using Piccolo's regeneration and simply grows his arm back. As Gohan then comments, we were totally ready for him to copy our abilities. And this really pisses off Shimareka because then he goes on to comment, sounds like a bluff to me. 7-3, that one guy is stronger. Switch over to him. With 7-3 compromising and commenting very well, as only then we get to see how 7-3 switches abilities from using Piccolo's and now using Gohan's, as he goes to lean back by charging up energy and then throwing it directly at Piccolo and Gohan. It's as clear as day that since Piccolo's abilities won't work, he now went in shifting on over and using Gohan's abilities, and from there, as of course Gohan and Piccolo quickly move out of the way, they immediately recognize that this is in fact one of Gohan's attacks, but 7-3 doesn't stop there because with 7-3 visibly having to be shown getting very frustrated, what he ends up doing is charging up both hands this time and fires a massive amount of energy blasts directly at Piccolo and Gohan, and with Piccolo and Gohan charging directly into the attack, what I absolutely enjoy about this is seeing the fact that Gohan and Piccolo, although they know that their own attacks are being used against them, they're not afraid because they're charging directly into the storm and they are willing to take the hits just to simply counter their opponent. And 7-3 is not showing any signs of stopping because he just continuously fires blast after blast after blast in really wanting to nail Piccolo and Gohan, because remember, 7-3 only has 30 minutes to use these abilities before time runs out. And with Piccolo standing back and firing these blasts, which Gohan ultimately uses to basically bounce off of, Gohan ends up dodging every one of these attacks as of course they head towards Gohan's direction, and with each of the blasts that Piccolo fires, Gohan immediately bounces off of from, and the same attacks that 7-3 fires end up actually colliding with Piccolo's attacks. So Gohan is really doing something very interesting here in evading all of 7-3's blasts, but at the same time using Piccolo's attacks as a means to bounce off of from as he begins to get closer and closer to 7-3. So Gohan displays massive traits of being an alpha in this manga because he's not afraid, he's not scared, he's not overly arrogant either because he understands the threat at hand and he's not willing to risk his own life or the life of anyone else just to simply play games. And with Gohan being absolutely serious in this situation, he uses all of these blasts in bouncing back and forth, with 7-3 really not showing any signs of stopping because he just keeps throwing blast after blast, but nothing seems to hit Gohan because he's so fast and he's so sharp that 7-3 can't manage to hit him, as only then Gohan is shown getting close enough to where 7-3 really cannot get a good shot on Gohan. So what Gohan ends up doing is he ends up dodging all of his blasts and then gets close enough to where he really socks 7-3 directly in the face with such force that it causes 7-3 to hit the ground behind everyone, as of course this is shown with 7-3 hitting the ground with such force that it essentially causes him to shatter into pieces, because as of course later on we get to see how he slowly emerges. Piccolo then went along to tell Gohan, good going Gohan, as Jocko comments, of course, combo moves. 7-3 can only use one set of powers at a time, so there's no way he could dodge attacks from a duo. With Shimareka panicking, he goes on to comment that can't be. With Gohan smiling, he went along to then state, we'll never lose to some copycat. And with 7-3 emerging, he looks to be absolutely infuriated as we go back to another city with Yamcha in it. Yamcha actually looks like he's kicking ass in the city because with Yamcha seemingly enough dominating, he went along to comment, seems like Gohan and Piccolo's training paid off. As one of Moro's criminal goons goes on to comment, damn it, you looked so freaking weak. With Yamcha commenting, aw, you think? Actually, I'm one of the 3 strongest Earthlings around. And with all of Moro's men pissed, what Yamcha ends up doing is charging directly at them, in the fact that he not only proclaimed himself in being one of the top 3 strongest humans on the planet, but Yamcha for the first time actually backed it up too. So this isn't fodder Yamcha that we've seen in Super or Z. This is actually kind of like a throwback Yamcha to the original Dragon Ball in the fact that number 1, his hair grew back, number 2, he's actually fighting multiple people at once and holding his own by beating them all up. And after Yamcha beats them all up, he goes on to walk off and commenting, "Better round them up while you can," with the Galactic Police then having to scramble in grabbing all of the criminals and placing them on the ship. Yamcha looks up as he went along to comment, "I'm sensing more rampaging convicts that way. Let's hurry." And with Yamcha taking off with the Galactic Patrol, we then go back to Piccolo and Gohan as they seemingly enough look like they're about to combine the Masenko with the special beam cannon, and that's exactly what ends up happening because with Gohan and Piccolo both having to cry out "Demon Flash of Death," we get to see in a beautiful shot how Gohan and Piccolo fire their attacks at once, and with their attacks combining, 7-3 looks absolutely flabbergasted because he didn't really expect for this to happen. As a matter of fact, nobody expected for this to happen. So with Gohan and Piccolo's attack having to then be shown striking 7-3 head on, there is a massive explosion that engulfs the entire landscape, and with Piccolo and Gohan trying to hold their ground, they then went along to ask, "Did we get him?" As once the dust momentarily settles, we get to see how 7-3 is in fact lying on the ground. He looks absolutely destroyed. His right arm is missing. He looks to be incredibly battle damaged. His face is all messed up. His body's all messed up, with Gohan then having to comment, "No, not yet. If we don't finish him off, he'll just resort to Moro's power again." And that's exactly what happened prior in their last battle, because after 7-3 was shown losing, what he ended up doing was in fact using Moro's abilities, and with Shimareka touching down next to him, he went along to then tell 7-3, "Come on, just use it already, 7-3. It'll be for nothing if we end up dead." And that's exactly what 7-3 ends up doing, because then he switches from Piccolo to Moro, but then out over in the distance we get to see how two individuals touch down on the canyon, with Shimareka having to instruct 7-3 by telling him, "Get them! Drain their energy till they're dry." And with 7-3 sticking his hand out, what these two end up doing is leaping up off the ground and charging directly at them, because as a result, only then we get to see how Android 17 and Android 18 finally enter the battlefield by striking 7-3 and Shimareka directly in the face with such force that it causes Shimareka and 7-3 to hit the ground behind them. And with the androids touching down, Shimareka slowly sits up as he goes on to ask, "Who are they?" As 17 went along to comment, "Which one's that 7-3 guy? Was he the one I kicked?" With 18 replying, "They said he's got no emotions, so yeah, probably." As 17 continues, "Weird. Seems pretty weak to me. You sure you even need us, Piccolo?" As Piccolo responds, "Yeah, you're the only ones who could finish this fight, since you androids don't have chi." And with Shimareka overhearing this, he went along to comment, "No chi? What's that mean?" As Jocko chimed in, "Oh, duh, 7-3 can't absorb energy from androids. Good thinking, Piccolo." As only then Gohan went along to ask 18, "Are Goten and Trunks doing okay, number 18? As 18 comments, "Yep, they're having a blast over on Monster Island." Those two were thrilled when they heard they could fill in for number 17 as Rangers. As Gohan comments, "That's a great relief." As 17 then chimes in, "Now then, let's make a quick work of this. I'm not a fan of ganging up on enemies, but I can't have them wrecking the Earth." As 18 replies, "Plus, Capsule Corp is giving us 10 million Zenny to fight. As soon as we mop up here, it's payday." As 17 comments, "Don't put it that way, 18. Makes us sound like mercenaries." As 18 tells him, "Listen, I don't fight for free." And Shimareka and 7-3 are absolutely pissed because there's not really much they can do now, as over back on Moro's ship with Moro watching this, he went along to comment, "Pathetic. These useless fools couldn't even meet my low expectations of them." As Sagambo apologizes, he then goes on to tell Moro, "Apologies, Lord Moro. It seems like a whole bunch of tough fighters gathered on Earth somehow." And with Moro standing up, he doesn't seem to be concerned, because then he goes on to comment, "No matter. There would be no meaning in coming all this way otherwise. Now, who will be first on my menu?" Because Moro is now looking to finally enter the fight himself. As we go back on Yardrat, we get to see how Vegeta is wrapping up his training as he's huffing and puffing. He's tired. With him standing up, he goes on to comment, "Damn it, it failed. One more time." As the Yardrat leader goes on to tell Vegeta, "Wait, Vegeta, can you feel the Earth spirit?" As Vegeta comments, "Yes, The fighting started not long ago, with one of the other Yardrats having to comment, well, don't you gotta rush over there? As Vegeta comments, no point, not until I've mastered this technique. Besides, Moro hasn't joined the battle yet. There's still time. As the Yardrats continue, cutting it loose, huh? With Vegeta commenting now, once more. From the top, Pybrara, as the narration then goes on to fill us in on what Goku is doing and commenting. Meanwhile, Goku was a bit lost, as Goku went along to ask some native people on a planet, hey, so which way is Earth? As they then go on to point out that way, the manga chapter special then comes to a close. Now, I absolutely love the concept idea of having all of the Z fighters come together in not only having to help each other during this time of crisis, but also fighting for the namesake of protecting the planet and everything they've grown to love on it, including the people of the Earth, in knowing the fact that Moro is here for 2 reasons and 2 reasons only, that being number 1, he wants to absorb the Genki and the energy of every living being on the planet, including the planet itself, and grow stronger as a method of doing so, and then the second reason being, he absolutely wants to slaughter Goku and Vegeta for good, even if they've grown stronger in being at their absolute best. Moro simply doesn't care. So I also really love this concept idea of having Piccolo and Gohan have their definitive rematch against 7-3, because on the previous manga chapter we really didn't get to see who really won the fight between 7-3, Gohan, and Piccolo, because of course everything was cut abruptly, but being the fact that 7-3 was unrestricted now, it really went as far as to show that Gohan and Piccolo have improved so much that, dare I say, Gohan and Piccolo are a lot better showcased in the manga than how we've seen in their anime counterpart, because let's face facts here, Gohan and Piccolo in the manga are absolute beasts when compared to Gohan and Piccolo in the anime. So whenever Dragon Ball Super does end up returning and we end up having this be animated, I can't wait to see the overall dynamic of Piccolo and Gohan working together to stop 7-3, but props goes out to 7-3 because towards the end, he was looking to go all out by absorbing everyone's Genki until we had the surprise of Android 18 and the MVP of the Tournament of Power 17 step in, as of course now the androids have entered the fight, which by no means are they going to be an easy challenge to overcome, but with Moro having to concede to the idea that he needs to insert himself in this battle, I can't wait to find out what's going to happen, which of course the next manga chapter will be dropping on February 20th. So if of course you guys want to find out what happens then, I do encourage you guys to subscribe to the channel and give this video a big thumbs up if you guys just love the overall dynamic of having all of the other Z fighters be included in this. But I have a question for all of you, and that being, what do you think is going to happen once Moro and Sagambo end up touching down on the battlefield and battling against our heroes? Is Moro going to absolutely desecrate and slaughter everyone? Is there going to be a particular person, maybe Gohan or 17, that might be able to put up a decent fight against him? Or do you guys believe that Moro is simply going to pop out now and send in Sagambo and just kick back while everyone fights? And my second question is, who do you guys think is going to make it back to Earth on time prior to the Earth possibly being destroyed? Is it going to be Vegeta or is it going to be Goku? I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below. Again, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for your time. This was a huge throwback to, I think, Dragon Ball Z, and a huge throwback to what Resurrection F should have been, in the fact that everyone got an opportunity to have some shine here, even Yamcha out of all people. So I want to get your thoughts and feedback in the comment section below. Again, thank you all so much for watching. If of course you guys are not following me on Twitter or Instagram, those links will also be located down below. I appreciate your time. Tune back in for the next video. We are far from done. I have a lot of surprises for you guys lined up. Thank you all so much once again, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys down in the comment section below. Take it easy, guys, and have a great day. Peace!
This is the Galactic Emperor of the Universe, and of course I'm here to tell you to subscribe to UnrealEntGaming.
Also follow UnrealEntGaming on these social media platforms to stay connected at all times. And if you don't, then very soon you will all be dead! Oh, did someone say UnrealEntGaming? Oh my god.
The fuck's up, on? Put on some clothes!
Well, why don't you put on any clothes?
What? I don't need clothes. Jesus Christ, that's huge! What, Broly?
Frieza.
Uh-oh.
Prepare to die!
But once you get video, lots of likes, or Bill will turn you into chocolate!
Vados, get over here. Tell these mortals
that I'm the biggest UnrealEntGaming fan. This is my moment. I'm a part of his notification squad. Universe 7 can have all the fun. I just want the food.
And don't forget to leave a comment on this video. Show some love for the best community on YouTube.
Kakarot!